Dear brothers, what's up, y'all? Let's have a little story time today, huh? It was my junior year of undergrad. March comes around, and for anyone who's been to college or lives in a tropical place, you know what happens in March. Spring break, baby. My buddies and I, my two buddies, had planned for months for this trip. Saved our money, bought tickets to this stupidly expensive, ridiculous music festival, and tried to find lodging. We ended up staying on a buddy's floor on South Beach. So we're getting ready to go. My buddy's pile into my car, which, by the way, I lied to my family about because they would have certainly been like, there's no way that car can go 1,300 miles south and 1,300 miles back. The only person who knew this truly was my godfather, who looked at me, knowing full well what we were about to do, and said, "What happens if your car breaks down?" My nervous response, "I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't." Thank my lucky stars, Old Bird, as we called my '01 white Nissan Maxima, may she rest in peace, made it to South Beach and back, somehow without an issue. We had time of our lives, made stupid decisions naturally, and no doubt kind of hung by the seat of our pants, but somehow we coasted back into town on fumes and made it work. So I get back to my college campus about halfway through spring break in Connecticut. I sit at my kitchen table in my small apartment and decided to finally do the task I had been avoiding since we left Miami, which was to check my bank account. I look at my checking account, 5 cents. I look at my savings account, 0.00. I had 5 cents to my name. Blown every single penny that I had, which was not a lot, on having quote unquote fun. My stomach was in my throat. I knew that we were being reckless, but this is a totally different level of recklessness. In that moment, I had nothing. No money for food or gas, or I think there were some ramen noodles in the cupboard. I kind of sat there shaking, more ashamed and embarrassed than anything else. I wasn't raised to be that irresponsible and that negligent and that mindless. So I'm looking down as my phone sits in front of me with my godfather's name and number pulled up. I was prepared to call him, ask for help, which he would have given me in a heartbeat. No questions asked. He was never going to let me be down and out. But I couldn't push the call button. This was my fault. I continued to sit there, emotional, tears in my eyes, from feeling foolish and ungrateful for certainly all the blessings that I have, and just kind of throwing that away with nothing in my account to show for it. So I started thinking to myself and thinking about my godfather, what would he do in this situation? So something you should know about my amazing godfather is that he is a self-made man. He had a whirlwind of a childhood with some crazy ups and downs, and he kind of had a time in life where he had to choose a path. Either he was going to go down this destructive and not great road, or he was going to turn around and create something of his life and be better than the cards that were dealt to him. He chose the latter. Without question. Ask anyone. He is the hardest working person I have ever known, and I think anyone has ever known. And there's not even a close second. My dad worked his ass off. My godfather would make him look like a lazy bum. Anytime. He just has a motor that doesn't stop. We always joke that when we don't know where he is. You know, hey, where's Jim? Oh, he's quote unquote fiddling, which basically means that he's just finding something to do, because being idle is his idea of hell on earth. He's got to keep rolling. I have known him since well before I was 10 years old. He gave me my first job. I worked with him and my dad all through middle school, all through high school, in the freezing winters on the ocean in Casco Bay, Portland, Maine, to summers spent digging up the backyard and putting it together in some new way, laying down pavers, raking half an acre, setting too many things on fire, painting and repainting things. I don't know why he loved painting so much. I would wax and wash trucks. He would come up with random stuff for me to do, and a lot of it I did with him. The most impressive part of all of it is that he would work until he bled. No matter how hard I thought I was working, and at the time I thought I was busting it, he would always outdo me. So I'm sitting there, and in that moment I go, okay, what would he do if he were in my shoes right now? And there was a memory that came to my mind. I can remember some part of one of the engines on the workboat went. We're sitting in the water and the thing's just not moving. Clearly seemed expensive from everything I could gather. My godfather looks at my dad, who had just asked him, like, what's this going to cost, excuse me. And my godfather just kind of looks up and shrugs, goes, doesn't matter. I'll just go make more money. I'll figure it out. No excuses, no arguments, no woe is me. Very simple. He was just going to figure it out. So I straightened myself up, stopped my little pity party that I was having for myself, and I repeated, go figure it out, kid. My butt got out of the house, walked straight down to the school's equipment manager, who I worked for all of undergrad. I go to his office, which was super quiet because it was still like the middle of spring break, so there's no students around, just some of the athletes on campus. I sat down with a look in my eye that clearly I meant business, or I was in complete desperation. Probably more the latter than the former. Bob, I said, I need to work right now, as quickly as possible. I'll do absolutely anything you need. You name it, I'm there. I don't care for how long, or what, or where, or how, but if you have stuff for me to do, I am all yours. Please put me to work. He gave me this wry smile, patted me on the back, pulled out his cigarettes, which he had 100 of a day, and said, as you wish. I worked those next few days of spring break somewhere around 15-ish hours a day, which I wasn't even allowed to work that much per school rules, but I kind of figured the harder I worked, the more likely it was that Bob was going to give me more stuff and might not give it to somebody else, and I needed the money. I was just frantically trying to work. And seeing as driving wasn't quite an option because cars require gas, which requires money, and I don't have that, being able to work on school grounds was a pretty big blessing and seemed a bit more reasonable. I cleaned football equipment. I tidied up storage. I did 400 loads of laundry. I helped clean the athletic room. I went to some of the sports that were still on campus, filling up their water bottles and helping set up the fields. And wherever he pointed, I went. I was somewhere in the realm of 60 hours in a few days. And realistically, I'm only supposed to get paid for about 30 of those. But Bob said he put the hours in, and he said, don't worry, I'll take care of you with the rest. So all of a sudden, I get a little deposit, I got a check, I've got a few $100 in the bank, I'm not down and out, I could go eat, I could get some gas. And over the coming weeks, school kicks back in, I'm back into class, but I'm, still working for him. Every time I got my paycheck, I noticed that there was a bump on it. So if I worked 20 hours one week, he would give me 5 hours from that 60 that I worked. And so every paycheck for those next few months, he gave me those hours when I wasn't able to get to 30 in that week, strictly because I went out and I busted my ass for him. So I became his most trusted employee at the school. And so when something needed to get done, or there was an important job or something that was going to pay us well or whatever, he'd call me first, and I made sure that I got there and I was loyal, and he took care of me. I can't tell you how many times I would go. I can remember one time he called me. It was like 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, Bob, what's going on, man? He was like, we've got to clear off the field for lacrosse. There's a bunch of ice on it and snow, and we've got to clean it off. I need you right now. And so I got up and I went out there and we cleaned, and we were there for, 5 or 6 hours just getting the field ready. And my next paycheck, he'd given me 15 hours worth of work. That all happened because I just decided that I was going to be his hardest worker. So, like my godfather had taught me, more with actions than with words, when you're stuck in a rut or something doesn't go your way or you need to make some cold hard cash, you shut up and you make it work. When we're backed into a corner, fellas, it can be easy to try and reach out and hope some silver spoon comes and saves us. But only when you're in a position of kill or be killed, eat or don't eat, you can really see the quality of your character come out. I certainly was trying to push that off. trying to push that call button. But something in my head said, no, no, no. You've been taught better than that. You have mentors that have showed you better than that. Don't be that guy. The next time you guys find yourself in a tough spot, remember, woe is me and that little pity party is for losers. Champs, winners, pull themselves out of that dumb self-loathing, look in the mirror, and say to themselves, I'll figure it out. God bless, be strong, stay after it today, boys. Get some.